Welcome. Thank you, everyone, for being here today for our Periscope mentor information session. Thank you all for being interested in being Periscope mentors. It's such an essential part of the program, supporting artist entrepreneurs in the Nashville area. And we rely on our mentors as well as our instructors, group leaders, and facilitators to be able to support artists in their entrepreneurial endeavors. So I really appreciate everyone being here. I'm going to go through talk a little bit about who we are, the Arts and Business Council of Greater Nashville. We are an independent 501c3 nonprofit here in Nashville. And you can kind of say we are the infrastructure for the arts community. We provide legal and business services. We bring business skills to artists. We bring creativity into businesses and try to support a creative culture throughout the Greater Nashville region. That's a little bit about us. You can learn more about us on our website, abcnashville.org. So we're going to talk a little bit about what is Periscope Artist Entrepreneur Training, who can apply for Periscope, how artists are selected, what the program and curriculum look like, what the timeline is for the program, what the mentor commitment is, what the pitch and showcase is, and then we'll have that Q&A at the end. And so I'm going to give a little bit of background on the program, what we do, the content we deliver, the approach that we take to the curriculum to kind of frame what the role of the mentor is. So we'll start with that. But just an overview, Periscope Artist Entrepreneur Training is an in-person, intensive, interactive curriculum-based program where we teach artists the skills that they need to be able to view their creative practice through an entrepreneurial lens. What's interesting, I've been working on Periscope for 6 years now. I joined ABC back in 2018, and I have noted a difference over the years, a transition where it used to be that a lot of artists did not necessarily identify as entrepreneurs. But now when we have a cohort start, it seems like almost everyone there, they identify both as an artist and an entrepreneur. And I think that's a great shift that we've seen over the last, half decade. But I think it's a testament to some of the work that we're doing in the community, but also the perspective that artists have about their work and understanding that they are small businesses if they are trying to make a living and trying to make a life out of what they do as their full-time career. We founded this program with a coalition of partners, including the Nashville Entrepreneur Center, Metro Arts, the Mayor's Office of Economic and Community Development, and the Nashville Area Chamber of Commerce. We still work with those partners in different capacities today, but Periscope is primarily a program run by the Arts and Business Council and supported by those and other partners throughout the community. So who can apply? Any working artist who is a resident of the state of Tennessee. And by working artist, I mean someone who is making work, actively making art in any creative discipline. They are a working professional, meaning they are attempting to sell their work, but they do not have to be a full-time artist to be able to do this. And when I say artist, that is a very broad term. We use that to mean, everything from a visual artist to musician to dancer to theater artist and everything kind of in between. So any discipline can be considered a working artist. Culinary arts, all of those, we use kind of the blanket term of artist when we were talking about that. And then the third requirement is that they cannot be currently enrolled in a degree granting program. So like I said, a working professional, we are looking for folks who are post-degree. It's an intensive program, meaning that it takes a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of focus. And so we don't think that it's wise for someone who is also a student full-time in a degree granting program to be able to go through this program. It's more of a program once you are out in the world making your work and working as a professional artist. We have a community review committee each year. We reach out to local arts leaders, curators, artists, program partners, and alumni, and they score the applications that we receive for each cohort. Those groups are different every year, and they are discipline specific, but usually it's somewhere between 9 to 12 people that are on that review committee. They receive a set of applications. They score those applications based on a rubric that includes quality/creative vision, motivation/need, diversity and representation, and overall impression of the application. And so based on those criteria, that is how artists are selected for the program. And then the program is now a 9-week in-person training program, which includes both the big picture business modeling and sort of the functional business practices of being a working artist and being an artist entrepreneur. The program in 2025, the kickoff will be on Thursday, March 20th from 6 to 8 p.m. And then regular classes begin on March 27th and run through May 15th. Again, those are all on Thursdays. This year we have also lengthened the day. It used to be 9 to 1, but now the program is 9 to 2 p.m. That gives us an extra hour each week over those 8 weeks from March 27th to May 15th, which adds the days are 5 hours long. This would add 8 hours plus the 2-hour kickoff, which includes an alumni panel. So that's almost 2 sessions worth of additional content that we're going to be delivering in 2025 because we found that there's such a great need for more time in small groups, more time to ask questions of instructors, more time to network with colleagues in the program. And so we are making some tweaks. Last year it was 8 weeks. We're moving it to 9 weeks and expanding the day just a little bit and trying to add that a little bit of extra in there to meet the growing needs of creatives. There's also exchange, like I said, small group work, mentorship, which we're going to talk more about later, and then opportunities both at the pitch event and then year round to be featured and to be highlighted. So each day looks about like this. Usually the first morning session is from 9 to 10:30 a.m. We take a little break. We have breakout sessions in small groups. So normally a cohort is 25 artists. We break them up into 5 small groups of 5 artists each with a facilitator who is a local arts professional. They have them from 10:45 to 12:45. We take another break, and then we have afternoon sessions on special topics with both arts and business leaders. Those are from 1 to 2 p.m. And so that kind of is the full day of what the program looks like each week and what artists can expect going into that. And what we talk about, so we begin with our alumni panel and kickoff mixer. So that's an opportunity for alumni to talk about their experience, what they gained from the program, what they expected going into it, what surprised them, what they wish they had known, that sort of thing. Really trying to level set expectations and help, get people excited about the community that they're joining, but also, realistic about what the program is, what it offers, and what the opportunities are ahead. Then we talk about goal setting, SMART goals, making connections, building your network, both within the cohort, but also within the creative community in Nashville. And then we begin really digging into their career position and what they need to build the future for their art. So what's your idea? And really, in What's Your Idea, we talk a lot about what it takes to get from where you are today to where you want to be. If you have set these goals, what are the steps you need to take to get there? And then also, what is your why? What is the passion that's driving you? What is the purpose that drives you? And then building a compelling proposition, just identifying that unique selling proposition for each artist for them to be able to understand what their customers value about their work. Then about halfway through the program, we get to framing your concept. That's where we introduce a business model canvas. The idea frame from the Nashville Entrepreneur Center is the one that we use through our partnership with them. And so that is where they start to be able to understand all the different aspects of their business, how the expenses and the revenue lead to a business that has growth potential. And so just really fully being able to understand their business model. We talk about the basics of getting to market, which is the IDA sales funnel and taking people through a sales funnel. Business, not hobbies, is understanding sort of what it takes to generate revenue, pricing strategies. That's where we talk about pricing and professionalizing the business and creating those systems that you need to be able to run a small business. So really systematizing the business side of what they do. Getting Believers is where we begin to talk about how to tell a compelling story that is going to get people to take action. And that's both customers, but also potential partners, and sort of leads into the pitch process. And so we kind of round out the program with refining their business plan, and starting to develop their business pitch, or their Periscope pitch, as we call it. And functionally, a pitch is just a business plan that is also, compelling, is also the purpose is to persuade someone of something, to support something, to join something, to be a part of something. And so we approach the pitches as business plans that are persuasive and can help them to be able to gain the resources, partnerships, and things that they need to be able to take their business to the next level, to grow it, to start it, whatever the case may be. And then each week, along with this core curriculum, we also have special topics in the afternoons, and those vary year to year. We do change those up a little bit, but we look at everything from entity formation to a deep dive on customer intimacy and what that looks like, to having panels come in and talk about special topics that from like an entrepreneur panel to a local artist group that comes in and talks. We've had the Social Entrepreneur Alliance come in and talk about social entrepreneurship, different topics that are determined both on feedback from previous classes, important trends in the marketplace and in the community at that time, as well as looking at sort of the makeup of the class each year, who's in that cohort, what are the best sort of mix of resources as well. So we have those afternoon special topics that are also a core part of the program. But they go through that. So we have the kickoff and go through May 15th in 2025, or May 14th, I think, is the final day. And so we go through that, and then that is when they're paired with mentors. So I'll give kind of the rundown of that timeline. Applications open in January. We do an interest session where we present, tell artists what they can expect. We have a nomination process, so anyone can nominate an artist for Periscope. We take those up until about a week before applications are due, which this upcoming year is going to be February 6th. Then we will notify artists toward the end of the month in February. The kickoff event will be March 20th. We will do a mentor orientation session, which goes over sort of the tools and things that we utilize for the program. And so we have that in April. And then May 14th, the training will end, and we will introduce via email all of the artists, entrepreneurs, to their mentors. And then mentorship is a commitment, and I will talk a little bit about that, but it's monthly meetings with your mentee for at least an hour a month to help them with the business that they are trying to build. And that can be everything from helping them with the pitch process and developing that pitch and business plan, preparing for the pitch event that we have preliminaries over the summer for, and then in September we host that event. So mentors work with them on that, but also just generally on the aspects of growing their business, building their business, gaining the resources that they need to be able to do that. And that looks different for every artist. Their businesses are all very different. Their approaches are very different. And so each mentor or mentee relationship is different as well. But they all do share some commonalities. The first is duration. So the formal mentorship between a business mentor, a Periscope mentor, and an artist entrepreneur in our Periscope program is 6 months. You can meet more than that. You can meet over a longer period. If you establish a great relationship, you're more than welcome to continue that after the 6 months. However, we ask for a minimum commitment of that 1 hour a month every 6 months. So like I said, and then mentors and mentees, they can meet, in any way that works best for you and them. So that's in-person meetings, phone, video conference. A lot of mentors, mentees have email threads where they're sending stuff back and forth to each other so that they can look at it. But it's really about understanding, what their needs are and trying to either help them to figure out issues, solve problems, or connect them with people, partners, and resources that they may need to be able to move forward. If you are a Periscope mentor, it's a volunteer opportunity, and we appreciate all of our mentors. But we also encourage that you communicate and the artist communicates with you in a timely and responsive fashion. So between sessions, we encourage that you email, text, whatever works for the two of you to discuss problems, situations, breakthroughs. We also ask that you keep the relationship strictly confidential unless you explicitly agree otherwise. Obviously, artists, if they're taking their business out into the world, they're introducing that business, they're probably going to want you to talk about that business and to share about that. But there are definitely going to be times when you're talking about things that you would not want to share publicly. And so respecting that, acknowledging that, and having, frank and open conversations about what is and isn't appropriate for sharing is really important. And then finally, we ask that artists do not solicit their mentors and mentors do not solicit their artists for selling or marketing any services or products during the 6-month mentorship period. If you do want to do business together, that's perfectly okay after the 6-month period, but we don't want there to be any pressure, any awkwardness because one person is trying to sell a product to the other. During the mentorship period, it is a volunteer opportunity, and it is about giving and donating of your time to help a local artist. And so we just ask that they don't try to sell to you and you don't try to sell to them. All right. And I mentioned earlier, we have the mentor orientations where we talk about the different resources that we provide mentors, but just kind of a general overview of those. We have a Periscope mentor guide and agreement. A lot of what I just talked about is in that agreement, but that's something that you review with your mentee in your first meeting, and both of you sign that agreement so that you establish the norms of the relationship, set expectations. Everybody knows what is going to happen, what the responsibilities are, what the commitment is from each side. The idea frame is the business model canvas that we teach in Periscope, and it comes from the Nashville Entrepreneur Center. As well as we provide you with information about the Periscope pitch parameters for that competition, the scoring rubric that we use, and then additional resources that include things like the homework and assignments and information around what the artist has been working on and things that we can share from the program that would be beneficial and that they want us to share with you as well. So I've talked a lot about the pitch and showcase. You may or may not have been able to attend one of our past events. We just had a pitch at Oz back on September 4th. These are pictures from that most recent event. And you can see, and then you can also see some other ones as well. So different pictures. But this is the showcase. So when we talk about the showcase, what that really looks like is an expo where all 25 artists in the cohort can show their work and present their business to the public. I always tell them, this is an opportunity to pitch one-on-one conversationally and to utilize everything that you've learned from the program to talk to people and to identify what's going to be most important to them and to be able to mold your 60-second elevator pitch to the different people you talk to. And then on stage over the summer, we have a pitch competition. We have 2 rounds in the summer, preliminary rounds. One is a coaching round, one is an elimination round. And then on the final round, on the night of the pitch and showcase, the top 8 pitch live on stage and are able to win investment in their business pitches. So we give away cash prizes as well as things like tickets from Southwest Airlines, who have been a wonderful sponsor over the years, different things like that. So they get a packet as well as awards for the top pitch, the top 3 pitches, as well as the top showcase booth. All right. And so with that, I'm going to show a quick video just kind of highlighting what it looked like last year. This is about a 30-second video, so it won't be too long. But I wanted to give everybody, if you have not been able to attend the showcase, the pitch and showcase, it'll give you a sense of what that looks like in the room.
Now in its 11th year, Periscope is an annual year-long education opportunity that empowers 25 working artists and gives them a pair of entrepreneurial glasses to see their creative practice in a whole new light. Periscope allows participants to explore tools to develop an individualized business plan and walk away with not just a plan, but a master plan ready to take their creative endeavors to the next level.
Through creativity, we're connected to all that came before us and all the possible pathways of how to move forward. Creativity connects us to our power.
Testimonies like hers is why I do what I do. It reassures me that I am on the right path and that Angela's anchor is truly making a difference.
Artists, audience, or admin, if you want to play with us, we want to play with you. Let's dance, adapt, share, and care together. Thank you.
And yes, thank you to all of our sponsors. We have great sponsors for Periscope each year. But just to kind of give a rundown, so like I said, the pitch process is an optional process. So the competition on stage, doing that live in-person pitch, that is optional. But we do encourage all of the artist entrepreneurs to do that because the process of developing that pitch forces them to answer a lot of those questions that they have or to fill those gaps they have in their business plans. And so the process is a big part of the education that we are providing, the information that we're providing, but it is an optional process. If they just want to dig into their business after that, they don't, and that's not something that they want to try to do. They still graduate from the program at the end of it. They are still featured in the showcase and we still support them through mentorship. But if you do have an artist and you meet with them and realize that the pitch part is not for them, that's okay. They're not required to do that. It is an optional thing. Almost every artist does choose to try to do it and to go through the competition, but every year we have a couple, one or two who don't. And so just to let you know, that is still a mentorship opportunity where you can still help them develop their business plan, develop their business, and find those resources and things that they need to move forward. And then finally, the pitch parameters, they are 4-minute pitches. And so when someone is helping an artist with that, understanding sort of that the 4 minutes is the limit. Their composition is usually around 30% their work, 40% business plan, and 30% what they're asking for. And then we do not allow animations, transitions, or embedded audio and video, or we do not allow embedded audio or video, and we discourage automatic animations or transitions. And every year, that's something that we have to work with artists to make sure that they meet our sort of strict production guidelines as well. But as a mentor, your goal is to sort of support them through whatever that 6 months after the curriculum looks like, whether they are going through the pitch preliminary process or if they're just working on developing their business plan. And with that, I'm going to open it up for questions. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and we can just have a conversation. People can unmute themselves. You can ask any questions that you may have about being a Periscope mentor. Does anyone have any questions? Feel free to put them in the chat or to unmute and to ask the question. You can raise your hand with the raise your hand feature. If we start having multiple people, I'll be happy to call on folks one at a time.
Hey, Jonathan, it's
Hey,
Will. How you doing?
I'm good.
I have just a question. You guys are very familiar with my work. When you're pairing up mentors with mentees, I guess my question is, what kind of congruency should there be between what the mentor does and what the mentee aspires to? So that, I don't think I'd be a very good mentor to a flute artist who wants to reinvent, flute music, but to maybe a painter or a visual artist, I'd probably be able, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, thank you, because that's a great question. One thing, we take that into consideration, but primarily what we're looking for with our Periscope mentors is business mentorship. And so a lot of people may not have direct experience with the specific discipline that the artist that they are working with is in. And so that does happen, because what we're really looking at is what are like, we try to look at each artist, what they are, where they feel like they need the most support. We do a survey with the class, ask them kind of what they're looking for, where they feel their strengths lie, where they feel their weaknesses lie. And so we are looking at it holistically, both from whether or not the person has the right mix of business skills or and that sort of thing. We do want the artist's work to resonate with their mentor. We want them to care about it, or to want to engage with that artist or their work. But that looks very different, and that is very different from having direct experience with that type of work or with that discipline or genre. It looks more like understanding. Now, I will say this: if you are in a world where you sell tickets for things, it might be easier to work with a performing artist if you understand the world of selling an event-based business versus a product-based business, for example. But it is very much focused on business skills, what business skills you bring to the table, and then considering the aspects of that and the dimensions of that. If someone does have an artistic practice, we're not directly looking for someone who can mentor them in the artistic part of their business, but we do consider whether or not the experience is relevant, or could be relevant even if it's tangential.
I think a way I've heard it said before is that the artists are already experts in their art form, and that's why they're trying to bring it to the public. It's the business side, it's the how to get it to the public that is the part that we hope to give them support in. So, like he was saying, if someone, we look at what skills that the mentor has that the mentee might benefit from. So that could be, pairing people who have experience in galleries with a visual artist whose primary focus is going into a gallery, or whether that's an artist or whether that's a business professional who happens to be someone who's really involved with, working with galleries. And so, sometimes it can be a very straight alignment, and sometimes it's an accountant at a CPA, an accounting firm, who just happens to really love music, and so we're able to match them up with a musician. But we've had people who are business professionals who've worked with people who have come back as mentors over and over, who have worked with people in different genres, who say, I don't care who I'm working for, I just want somebody, I just want to be involved in this. Yeah.
That's perfect, because that's the kind of, I was uncertain what percentage of the sort of creative versus the business type of the mix for a good mentorship. The second question, I'm sorry, I'm filled with questions today. I personally have never done this before, and so do you have like materials? Yeah, I saw that you had a mentor guide. Will that give us some idea of what's expected of us as mentors?
Yeah, Will. So the guide and the mentor agreement definitely has the outline. Kind of at a high level, the expectation is that if someone is a mentor, they will work with their artist for 6 months, meeting with them for at least an hour a month, and helping them to be able to develop either the pitch and go through the pitch process, and then beyond that, or just generally developing their business plan and taking their business to market, if you will. So that's sort of the core of that. We do expect that the mentor will meet with them, and we expect that the mentor will give them advice, feedback, ask thoughtful questions. We do provide resources for some of that, but then also connect them with other people, other resources that if it is not something that you can help with specifically, that you will tap into your network. And so It is about sort of saying like, okay, well, what does this individual need to be able to get to the next step where they are? And sometimes they are really trying to get the business off the ground. Sometimes they've been doing business for a little while, but they're either, at a plateau or they can't quite make that next leap or that next step. And so that's what the commitment is. But it is a commitment to meet with them for 1 hour a month over 6 months from May to October. It ends in October because the pitch is in September. So in October you meet again to wrap up. Like, how did the event go? What happened? Like, it is sort of the final meeting. We also ask for confidentiality and that neither the mentor nor mentee try to do business or sell anything to each other, that it is truly a volunteer opportunity, and that there's no selling or buying from each other during the 6-month mentorship period. And that's pretty much the high level of it. We provide, the business model canvas. We work with the artist to provide what they've done, because really a lot of the curriculum, it adds up to a pitch. If you kind of look at what we learn each week, and if you add it all together, it's all the components of that pitch and of that business plan. Understanding their customers, understanding why customers value what they do. How do they reach their customers? How do they price their work? How do they find key partnerships and key resources? And how do they then learn to move those levers to be able to go into profitability if they're not profitable, to be able to reduce costs, or find the partnership that's going to make something feasible that's not feasible. And so that that is why it's very individual, but it is about them understanding the underlying business and being able to understand all the aspects that would be on that business model canvas. All right. Anybody else have questions? Will, thank you for your questions.
I just have a quick question.
Yes.
I operate as like a social enterprise. So I'm kind of a combination of nonprofit and for-profit. I was wondering if is there a part of the program that like teaches what business model would be best for the participants, or is that something that we would explore with them, in different models of doing business and what would benefit them the best? I was just curious about that.
Can you give me an example of what, when you're talking about like what business model would be best, are you like, could you give me an example of a couple of those?
Sure. So, I mean, just to explain, so I'm an artist, I'm also a therapist, and I also do community programming. So part of what I do to kind of fund the artwork that I do is through grant writing. So that allows me to fund some of the community programming that I do, and also some of the creative work that I do. So I also help people write grants. So I'm wondering if, for example, if an artist wants to do a mural, how they would write a grant for that and get that project funded. So basically more project funding through the nonprofit world versus selling a tangible piece of art. And kind of the intersection of that, of kind of community art versus selling a project. I guess I'm more in the visual arts, so kind of in that realm.
I think I understand. And so what I'll say is we don't dig in specifically to say like, okay, this is how you would write a grant to do this particular mural. It's more about them understanding their business model and making those decisions themselves. But what we're trying to help them see is how these different revenue streams could make their business model work. So we want them to be able to say like, okay, well, I couldn't do this mural unless I write this grant because this is what I can raise. Or they can go, I can do this mural. I could raise the money this way, or I could raise the money this way. This is the best approach. But we're trying to give them the tools to be able to figure those things out and make those decisions for themselves. So yes, we are looking at sort of like what business models are, but the way we kind of frame that is we're looking at what are your products and services that you provide? Like, what are your revenue? Like, how are you generating revenue? What are your costs on that? And sort of understanding that for any specific product or service that they offer, anything that they do. And so, for example, as you were talking about grant writing, writing a grant. Well, the first part of that is the whole process, the pitch process, all of that is about them understanding how to talk to different people differently, how to know what their value proposition is for whoever they are talking to, and to be able to convey what they do, why it's important, and why it should be funded. And so the core of the curriculum is teaching them to write a grant and to be able to communicate that effectively, and to be able to say, okay, well, my audience is this organization that funds, these are their funding priorities. My value to them is XYZ. I'm going to frame it in that way when I talk to them. And so that's the kind of tools that we're providing. But we are working with musicians that are, doing albums or, tours. We're working with choreographers who've started a nonprofit dance company. And then we've got a visual artist who is, just doing that. They do murals and they want to build a business around that, or pet portraits is one that comes around kind of often. And so we're trying to teach them all the same skills, but then they have to apply those differently. And I do think that the role of the mentor is to help them understand how to apply those things differently. A good example of that is, goods versus services, a ticket versus like selling a painting. I think it's always easier for the class, regardless of whether they're a musician or an artist. They can understand when you talk about selling a painting for this many dollars, it costs you this much to make. If you do this, it will be profitable. If you do that, it will not. But when you start talking about tickets and value for that, sometimes that is harder for people to understand because it's an intangible thing. And so we do deal with that a lot, but across all of that, we're trying to teach them the same skills that they can apply to their different disciplines or their different approaches to putting together their artistic career.
Thank you. That makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
And on top of that, just to add to it, it's just saying that we're trying to get them more of a more all-encompassing idea of building their business. The granular things like determining specifically what entity they are or what they need to do as a nonprofit. Part of joining the program, they become members of the Arts and Business Council, so they have access to a lot of our services, some of which are free, to help them potentially like connect with an attorney, for instance, who would be able to help them through paperwork or any outstanding questions they have about their specific business entity. We also offer assistance with nonprofit formation. So as part of the Periscope program, they become members, so they have access or discounts to some of those more deep dive little bits and pieces as well.
Thank you all so much for your interest in being a Periscope mentor. If you feel this is a great opportunity for you, we would love for you to join the roster. And then we reach out to mentors on our list when we have a mentee that we think is a good fit. So that may mean that, 1 year you get a mentee, the next year maybe there's not the right fit, or maybe it's not the right time for you. And then the next year you find there's a great artist for you to mentor again. So we appreciate all of that. We'd love to have you on the list, but also if you know someone who would be a great mentor, we'd love for you to connect them with us as well. If this feels like a good fit for you and you want to share it with others, or if it doesn't feel like the right fit for you, but you know someone who it would be a great fit for, connect them with us. With the Periscope program, it's in Nashville. It's 25 artists a year in Nashville. We also do a rural cohort, which is a little bit different, but it is online only. So we also have opportunities for, if you are interested in mentoring a rural artist, who is trying to start a business. We do a statewide program called Periscope Rural Artist Development. It's the same core curriculum, but then augmented through the special topic sessions to specifically address issues faced by rural artists. So we are looking for mentors for both of those programs. And so if you're interested or you know someone who is, just please connect them with us as well. But thank you all for being here. Have a great rest of your day.